Plainview Press. I'm the publisher, and Plainview Press has completed 4 titles in the last month, and 2 of those authors are here tonight at this event. One of them is here from New York City, and we have a 3rd author visiting us who lives in the Austin vicinity, who's joining us as well. So I am honored to present 3 of our accomplished authors to read from their works this evening. Our first guest here is the lady from New York City who happens to have a friend in Austin, so it's our luck that she's here. And she's a poet, a novelist, and an editor that is brave enough to compile and edit a book with 29 women contributors. So that is a story in and of itself. Pamela Laskin is a lecturer in the City College of New York English Department, and she directs their Poetry Outreach Center. And as she told me a minute ago, she just loves poetry. Her poetry chapbook, Grand Central Station, was a Millennium Prize winner. And I love the titles of her other chapbooks, so just listen to these. Ghosts, Goblins, Gods, and Geodes.
Ghosts, Goblins, Gods.
That's great. Too.
That's a good title.
Van Gogh's Ear, Darling Daughters, Defiant Dreams, The Plagiarist, and the Bonsai Curator. She also writes young adult and children's novels, including Visitation Rites in 2012, and more recently, Homer, the Little Stray Cat. Her poetry books include Remembering Fireflies in 2007, Secret of Sheets in 2009, and now, in 2015, it's all about shoes. And this is a collection of essays, poems, and stories about women and their unusual relationship to shoes. So we all had to think about our shoes tonight. And I did my cowboy boots for that. Following her reading, we'll have a Q&A, a short Q&A just to get the inside scoop about the book. But please please join me in welcoming our featured speaker, Pamela.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Malvern Books and to Pam Knight for arranging this, and my wonderful friend Addie for bringing her wonderful friend Emily. Thank you so much. And I'm going to begin with 2 poems from Secrets of Sheets, because that's on bargain basement sale this evening, which means I have a lot of extra copies, so I'm selling it for $5. And I will read 2 poems from that and move right into the recent shoe collection. I'll read 1 poem from the beginning called Yours, and I begin. Cremation. All that's in our waste is hidden. We dispose our love letters, dirty diapers, shredded tissues, often tear-saturated and sometimes filled with blood, so that no trace of the self is in the house other than the furniture, appliances, bedding, and the secrets of the sheets. And then in the end, and this was when my daughter was leaving for college, I wrote this poem. They're all poems that focus on laundry, and dirty and clean laundry, but laundry as a metaphor, not literal laundry. Departure. At the bottom of this washing machine, some lint, a penny, small, precious refuse. I refuse to rinse or spin. Gentle remains of the little girl, now wearing high heels, painted lips, Satra in her backpack. She takes her laundry with her. And So we begin All About Shoes, which began with me writing my own personal shoe memoir and giving readings about this book, which was called My Life in Shoes, and having women come up to me after the reading and saying, I have a shoe story, and I have a shoe story, and there were so many shoe stories floating around that I decided it would make for a great anthology. And shoes are obviously not about literal shoes, but about shoes as a metaphor for our identity and how we define ourselves through the shoes that are on our feet. And that includes not just stories about ourselves, but stories about mothers and daughters, and stories about friendships, and stories about growing up in and different machinations of shoes and what we wear as our psychological statements for who we are. And so I have several pieces in this anthology that I've edited, but what I decided to do is read one of my pieces and a few of the other pieces, so you'll hear the different focuses, which I think are really quite interesting. And mine really tells you this story, that the first narrative, I call them narratives that I'm going to read, is really what started this whole book for me. I was on the train and thinking, why do I love shoes so much? And I remembered this story. The Green Goddess. I am 6 years old and I long for a mother. It's true, I have one, but she is mentally ill and calls Creedmoor State her home. It is 1960, and though my official home is Queens, New York, my unofficial home is in Brooklyn in the projects on Pennsylvania Avenue, where being motherless is a commodity. I am more fortunate than some. I live with my Aunt Lil and cousins Ricky and Donna, 4 and 6 years old respectively. My Uncle Lindy lives there too, but when he is around, the screams are so loud that the kitchen utensils vibrate. I'm happy when he is gone, and I love this home, so that when my father comes to get me on the weekends, I don't want to go with him, though I grudgingly do. During the week, he is too busy at work to have me live with him. I often feel empty, as if there is a huge crater inside that has taken over my stomach, my small intestines, and my bowels. The only way to fill the hole is to abscond with Aunt Lil and make her my mother. Ricky is too young, but Donna is my age. She can live motherless for a while and see what it feels like. I hate Donna for the privilege she was born with. I can't have her mother, but I can borrow her shoes. I settle on the green velvet loafers size 12, even though I wear size 13. I squeeze my foot into them, a worthwhile endeavor, since they are beautiful. The outside is forest green velvet, and the inside a lime green satin with a simple gold buckle in the center. When I wear them, I am a green goddess, and I have a wide range of mythological goddesses whom I call mother. My aunt protests. These are too fancy for school, and I start to sob. The family does not know what to do with my tears, which are rampant. Aunt Lil relents. I have won the prize. Donna doesn't care. She will get 2 new pairs of shoes for giving me these. I walk to school in my green goddess loafers, and even though they pinch my toes, even though they hurt my heels, I wear them, walking the mile to school and the mile back. I never share that my feet are blistered, that my toes are bleeding. I walk with a limp. I hobble to my after-school activities, never daring to take these shoes off. The velvet is too soft, the golden buckle shines. I walk these shoes to their demise, and am bereft when my aunt demands it's time to get new shoes. I don't want to get new shoes, not ever. Nothing could replace this pain I've grown accustomed to walking with. And I'm going to move into people with very very different experiences. I'll start with actually a poem by a Haitian writer now deceased, and I thought that this was a very interesting cultural phenomenon that has to do with shoes, and you'll hear it in the poem. Later, I remember, the author's name is Phoebus Etienne. Later, I remembered the shoes. Shoes? My aunt questioned as I rummaged through my mother's closet. We had chosen a coffin with silver etchings, then moved along the rack of chiffon dresses, some garnished with pearls at the neckline and cuff. I thought of the wedding my mother hadn't lived to see before buying a tea-length dress in cornflower blue. The rosary I brought to her from Rome would fall gracefully on the lace gloves, covering the incisions made by the intravenous lines. As I examined patent leather pumps, my aunt insisted, Haitians do not put shoes on the dead. It makes it easier for wandering spirits to step over the offerings, the candles, dried thorns, and retrace their steps to find the living. I buy silk slippers with a satin bow, spray the white undergarments with my mother's favorite perfume. Each time I visit her grave, I clear sharp rocks on the path leading home. Sometimes I crumble pieces of the rum cake she enjoyed along the road, sit under the calabash, and wait to be found. And now I am sharing a wonderful piece by a woman in the military, and it's called Desert Boots by Catherine Schiaffoni. And if you read The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, I don't know if anyone read that or saw the movie, you know in that book that death narrates the story, which is a really interesting point of view. In this piece, well, I don't want to give it away. You'll hear. Desert Boots. She buys me in December because they tell her she needs to take 2 pairs of tan boots to Iraq. Normally, they give them out, but they don't have her size, so they give her 1 pair of 7.5 wide and 1 pair of 8.5. I am tan, canvas, suede, and size 8. I see snow for the first time in New Jersey, where they teach her how to fire guns and apply tourniquets. Hot brass balls bounces off my composite material safety toe and melts itself deeper into the snowpack. She wears me for 44 hours in a row while we make 4 steps on our way to our new home. When we finally get there, she writes BPOS/PCN, her blood type and drug allergy, on the side of my soles with a Sharpie in case a bomb separates me from the rest of her body with her feet still inside. When we meet the Iraqis she lives and works with, I do my best to keep the smell of cigarette smoke from impregnating my fabric. But it doesn't work, and we have to walk outside in small circles around our concrete wall compound to get the smell out. When it rains, the mud sticks to me. It sticks and it doesn't come off. I know when it rains now because she wears the 7.5 wides, and I have to go stay under the metal bed frame until the mud dries up. She talks to me sometimes when she cleans her guns. Usually it's because the internet here doesn't work, or because it's an odd hour back in America. She talks to me because she doesn't have anyone else to talk to, and I can tell what she needs is just someone to hear her. Her mom sends a pair of orange plastic insoles that she shoves in under my cushions. I tried, but I couldn't support her enough on my own under the weight of the ceramic plates, grenades, 9-line checklists, and 285 rounds of extra ammunition. I like my orange augmentation because we run sometimes, even with all that weight. We run to the truck where 2 people have been cut in half and another has been reduced by a third by a flying piece of copper. She pulls a soldier out of a truck, sets him on the ground, yells at other people, and puts her hand on his forehead. I try not to soak up much of him, but it's getting harder to avoid as he spreads out more and more on the blacktop below me. When we run to helicopters, little particles of dust jump off the ground and shoot through me, and I can't keep them out. I would tell her I'm sorry that I can't stop the dust, but she knows it without my saying so. By now, I have sweat rings that turn my tan suede brown, and on my left side is a stain from the transmission fluid that went flooding out of our gun truck outside of Asmia. The front passenger side of our gun truck is metal and wires and suffocating. Hot air never stops blowing down on me, and I've nervously tapped against the 2-square-foot rubber-coated patch of floor for a few hundred miles. I almost kick a hole through the armor-plated metal when we drive an IED outside of Nasiriyah. Later that night, she cries before taking me off her feet, and I understand. Neither of us will ever know why the only premier charge goes off and why molten fragments of copper don't try to rip me off her body. Part of my right soul is crumbling, melting a little after standing on the metal roof of a building in 130-degree heat, trying not to slip on empty 5.56 shells that drop hot from above. But I do slip once on purpose. I don't tell her so, but I slip and she falls, face first, into a pile of grass. I see a cousin of mine come in, sliding in beside me after I slip. "Nice move," he says. I nod and push her closer to the sandbags. She pours an entire bottle of water on me when we get back home after this. I want to ask her why she does it, but I can tell she doesn't know either. It just seems like something she ought to do. So I bear it and know that I will dry off next to her pair of tan shower shoes that don't know her the way I know her. I watch from my spot under the bed as she picks things off the floor and shoves them into her bag. The only things left are some stained t-shirts, a few sets of worn-out uniforms, and some gloves. "I'm sorry," she says, "but you cannot come home with me." I already knew this, and I know why. I've seen too much here. It doesn't look like it anymore, but I've got the mud and the smoke and the dust and the soldier's blood in me. I smell of sweat and fear. My suede tops are stained with tears that only I got to feel, and I know that she can't bring these things back home with her. She sets me in the box with the t-shirts and faded uniforms and takes me to the burn pit. She holds on a little and takes out my laces before throwing me in the pouring diesel on top of the pile. "I'm really sorry," she says again. I can say nothing back, and I don't have to, because I know she is not talking to herself and to the men she brought over here with her. But she can't say this to them, and they may not understand anyway, not like I do. So she says it to me, and those words are the last words I hear in Iraq before she pulls the tab on the grenade